For all you guys not aware, the SAVE Act, the Safeguard American Voter Eligibility Act, narrowly passed by the Republican controlled House, stalled in the Republican controlled Senate. A recent modification by Senate Republicans to attach a provision that would ban trans athletes in sports failed to pass along party lines. While not shocking, it's another pathetic example of Republicans being worried about all the wrong things at all the wrong times. We have an Iran war spiraling out of control by the day, an oil crisis that has made an already rising inflation rate even higher, Americans losing our jobs by the week, record small business bankruptcies, a crumbling infrastructure, massive delays in airports around the country, and a bunch of other shit that's high priority I forgot to mention. But you know what isn't a priority? The SAVE Act. You know what else isn't a priority? Another culture war, specifically one aimed at the 0.002% of the athletic population here in America, that being the transgendered American athletes. Trans Americans as a whole make up around 1% of the population, and the trans athletes specifically might make up 0.002% of the American athletes as a whole. Not 2%, not half of a percentage, 0.002. And there might be that many. I'm probably overstating that number. The point is that the modification has nothing to do with election integrity. And so I'm glad it failed. Attaching this stupid ass anti-trans provision to a highly redundant voting bill is not only a waste of everyone's time, it serves to something sinister. We already have federal laws on the books that state only U.S. citizens can vote in federal elections. And we attest to that under penalty of perjury when we register to vote. States already have voter verification systems, not to mention the fact that non-citizens voting in our federal elections has always been extremely rare. And guess what? When evidence of voter fraud does pop up, those individuals get investigated, charged, and convicted like the system is designed to do. This bill does nothing but add burdensome red tape to our voting systems, and the rhetoric surrounding it only furthers to sow distrust in our election process more broadly amongst each other as Americans. So, what sinister purpose does the SAVE Act really serve? It serves as a catalyst to Trump's scheme to rig the 2026 midterms in his favor, based on continuous lies that the 2020 election was stolen from him. Trump recently instructed the feds to raid the Fulton County election office in Georgia, citing already debunked claims of voter fraud in 2020. These sort of actions are designed for voter suppression. Historically, Republicans win elections in federal government when voter turnout is low. At a GOP conference in Florida, Trump recently said, and I quote, "It will guarantee the midterms. If you don't get it, big trouble. The people are demanding it. Every time I go out, save America, save America. We want the Save America Act." That's all they talk about. They don't talk about housing. They don't talk about anything. That's what they talk about. And if you send it up there, you will win the midterms and you will win every election for a long time. End quote. And that's right, guys. Americans don't talk to Trump about any of that nonsense like affordability and housing. After all, in his own words, and I quote, "Affordability is a hoax perpetuated by the Democrats," end quote. Let's not forget he also tied the upcoming midterms to the potential consequences he will face. As he told Republicans before, and I quote, "You got to win the midterms, because if we don't win the midterms, it's just going to be, they'll find a reason to impeach me," end quote. Now, here's a guy with immunity granted to him by the Supreme Court before he even won the 2024 election. Since then, We have gotten multiple crypto rug pulls, Doge raiding government data and selling it off to third-party companies, destruction of the East Wing for a fucking ballroom, nonstop bribes like accepting a luxury plane from the Qatari government, blatant cover-up of the Epstein files, inviting and meeting the war criminal Vladimir Putin in Alaska, a global trade war that we're actively losing again, and now another war in the Middle East that is now in its fourth week. Y'all let me know what I missed, because that's already way too much for him to still have a job. The reality is that he should worry about being impeached because he's gone out of his way to earn it. Had he actually focused on the bulk of his campaign promises, he wouldn't have to worry about it anyway. We might just be talking about a blue ripple in the midterms, or even the Republicans maintaining control of both chambers of Congress. Instead, the moment Trump was sworn into office, he has completely focused on enriching himself and his family and friends, allowed corporations and other elites to raid our treasury, diminished our standing across the globe, and weaponized the DOJ to take revenge out on his political enemies. In the Republican-controlled Congress that's supposed to be a co-equal branch of government, has enabled all of it. So, of course, Trump and the Republicans are focused on the voting process right now. This has been one of the most least productive Congress in modern U.S. history, and the country continues to take steps backwards under their leadership. Remember, the one policy they got passed, the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, had massive giveaways for the rich while cutting Medicaid spending for millions of Americans. Can't exactly go around the country campaigning on that policy based on current events. And we've seen this movie before, guys. The Republican Party gains control of Congress, can't get anything done, and when shit hits the fan, they try to start a culture war to distract the population from all the real problems going on. Seriously, what's next? Abortion? The one major strength Republicans had was immigration, but the acts of ICE and DHS through the last few months has a growing number of Americans souring on that crackdown, especially when U.S. citizens are getting caught up in illegal immigration raids by undertrained and understaffed federal agents. Transgendered athletes and the trans community overall didn't cause that. They aren't the reason housing costs continue to increase, why grocery and gas prices continue to rise, and they damn sure aren't the reason we're at war with Iran. But watch. Observe how many conservatives take the bait anyway, and happily. Somehow, transgendered athletes and redundant voting laws are going to force millions of conservatives to vote for more foreign wars, more tax cuts for the rich, less affordable health care, more job loss, continuous decline of our roads and bridges, covering up the sex trafficking of minors, and the further dysfunction that's taking over our country in the name of owning the libs. Because for some reason, a transgendered American wanting to play sports is taking it too far for conservatives. And that's more important than all the other shit going on in our country. Throughout our history, no demographic has engaged in identity politics more than the conservative American. The thankfully failed modification in the SAVE Act is just more evidence supporting that very point. I want to save my fellow Americans too. And yes, that includes conservatives, because the policies I support also benefit you. Because that's the point. It benefits the majority regardless of political leanings. I'm not interested in voting against my own interests just to own the conservatives. That would be incredibly stupid. The SAVE Act does nothing to actually save or preserve anything except Trump's tyrannical ambitions. So I ask you all this. Come the midterms, will we as a nation vote to actually save America, or will Donald Trump be making Cuba great again next year?